Welcome to episode 12, where I sit down with Ryan Durocher, the assistant hockey coach at Merrimack College, where he helped lead one of the most improbable seasons in recent Hockey East history. What began as an underdog season ended with a championship run, an NCAA tournament appearance, and a lesson in what can happen when a team truly believes in itself. In this episode of the Stuudio, Ryan shares his journey from his own playing days to coaching at the Division I level, the leadership principles that helped transform Merrimack's culture, and the importance of honesty, accountability, and relationships in building successful teams. We also discuss the recruiting process, helping young student athletes navigate life beyond hockey, the influence of his family, and how he balances the demands of coaching with life as a newly married husband. Whether you're a coach, athlete, parent, or leader, Ryan's story is a reminder that great things can happen when people commit to something bigger than themselves. Be sure to stick around until the end of the episode for highlights from Merrimack's incredible Hockey East Championship victory over UConn. Sorry, Husky fans. I hope you enjoy episode 12. Ryan, thanks for joining me today. Great to see you, my friend. This is awesome.
Thanks for having me, Stu. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this since we talked about this a few weeks ago. We've got a lot to talk about. That first year at Merrimack was incredible. For everybody listening, Ryan's the assistant coach at the Merrimack men's hockey team. First time they won the Hockey East championship. And you're the first 8 seed to win Hockey East. That's amazing. That journey you went through for that tournament was one of the greatest runs I've ever seen, professional or amateur. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, it was, especially the last month there, was very exciting. You know, the guys kind of took a life of their own, right? We won at home against Lowell, and then from there we were like, we got to go down to Providence. They're the 1 seed. We got to, put our best foot forward there. We end up winning in overtime. We get to the Garden, and then everything after that was kind of a bonus, right? And the guys, they played as well as we could play. Our goaltending was great, and it ended up, it was an exciting run for sure.
We're going to talk about this run in a little while, but I do want to finish up real quick with Max Lundgren. What a tournament, huh? Oh, my God. And I know he's got Property Bruins written all over him, but he'd look good in a Sabres uniform, my friend.
Yeah, they could use him.
Right?
But, he was outstanding. So.
Yeah. All right, so real quick, this is my first episode I'm shooting since probably December. I've been sick, and we're going to talk about that in a future podcast. But I'll tell you, Ryan, it's great to be back. It's great to have you as my guest. I feel like your energy when you come into the gym all the time. I love our discussions. But first, this is the new studio you're going to be sitting in with me. Pretty cool. Sit down, be humble, and then love yourself like talk to yourself like someone you love, man. We're all words to live by, but awesome stuff.
I love it. Yeah, it looks great, Stu.
All right, thank you. All right, so where do we start? Your childhood. You grew up in upstate New York.
I did.
Talk about that. I want to, when did you start skating? When did you start playing hockey? Your dad was probably a big influence on you.
He was, yeah. Both my parents worked at St. Lawrence from, I think, like 1989 on until they retired in the last couple of years.
That's awesome.
I was fortunate because I was able to go to Appleton Arena where St. Lawrence is and watch them practice. I used to take the bus actually and would go do my homework in the stands and watch them. Joe Marsh was the head coach at the time, and I'd watch him and for a young guy that was young, obsessed hockey guy, it was
it's awesome.
Pretty great experience, right? And then I'd try and get my skates on and shoot out right after they were off the ice. So I think my parents got me on the ice, I want to say 4 or 5 years old. First time skating was at Appleton, and as I'm sure you know, upstate New York has a lot of outdoor, lakes and outdoor backyard rinks. So, I spent a lot of time out there growing up. Had a lot of neighbors that wanted to play and went on to play Division I. It was so pretty fortunate to have that hockey hotbed right there.
Right. So when did you start playing hockey? Did you started skating early? When did you start getting competitive with it?
Yeah, I would say 5. Yeah.
No kidding. That young.
Yeah.
God.
Yep. Yeah.
I started late, so like I was a late bloomer. I was probably like fourth grade. So
Okay.
I love these stories when you just, as soon as you're born, they're throwing skates on your feet,
Yeah, I think my mom always tells a story. The only reason I got into hockey is I had too much energy, and she wanted me to go out for the open skates at St. Lawrence, and she would say, just how open skates are. You can basically just skate in circles as fast as you want. So she just had me zip around out there for an hour and try and kill some energy. And yeah, I mean, my dad's a soccer coach, so he
national championship soccer coach.
Yes, yeah. So he knows hockey, but I think it was more just to kill some energy out there, and then I just became obsessed with it. So it's pretty funny.
And you took to it. So you're going up through the youth program. Were you on travel teams? Like, is it kind of a standard journey through, your teens and then into whether you played in high school or juniors?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I did play locally for Canton, and then I actually went off to play on a travel team during the winter. It was called the Bonnie Castle Kings, which was out of Alex Bay, New York, or Clayton, New York, and we ended up going and playing in the Ottawa League. So I played a lot of hockey in Canada, growing up, basically with that team. Then I came back to Canton to play Canton High School for 1 year before going off to prep school. But yeah, it was I compared to most people nowadays, I stayed pretty local, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with Canton and Alex Bay that's like within an hour of Canton. So yeah, I had a great experience with the Bonnie Castle Kings. Just as a younger player, like we went to Montreal, Ottawa. I spent a lot of time in Canada, so that was great.
Great experiences, huh?
For sure, yeah. I mean, locally, being in Canton, you play Potsdam and Messina and some of the local teams that way, same as the high school team. But being able to go and play in Boston and these different tournaments, our winter team actually crossed over to summer hockey too. So
cool.
We stayed together year round, which nowadays, as you know, doesn't really happen.
No, and when you were playing, and it's interesting, we've had this conversation in the gym a few times about how the kids coming out of high school or juniors have to keep playing for a couple of years, right? They've got to, So they're going into their freshman year, 20, 21 years old. Was it like that when you played as well?
Yeah, it was. Guys went off to play junior. I mean, the leagues were way different back then, right? You had the EJHL here in New England, and then a lot of New York kids went up to the CCHL in Ottawa. Those were kind of the two leagues. The USHL for Eastern guys wasn't really a super popular path coming up through. I know some guys went later on, at 20. So a lot of people kind of stayed more home, closer to home. They were able to get scholarships just being in the area, which nowadays, guys are all over the place. So
right, and with it, we're going to talk about the NIL a little bit, but it's a completely different game than when I played years ago. That's for sure. But I noticed that you've got 18 kids coming back on the Merrimack roster, huh?
Yep.
That seems like that's a pretty big win, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things we talk about now is, you're recruiting your own roster just as much as you're recruiting incoming players.
Right.
You want to make sure that their experience is as good as it can be, the development piece, and then obviously trying to move guys on to professional contracts. Those are kind of the important things, I think, to retain players. And we were fortunate this year, having success there at the end. Guys wanted to come back, and we're happy to be part of what we're doing here. So it's exciting.
Good. And it's a young team too.
Young team. Yep. Yeah.
All right. I want to jump forward a little bit to college days. You went to State University of New York, Cortland.
I did. Yep.
And I noticed Dan Jewell, was he a teammate of yours up there?
He was. Yeah. So he was a teammate in prep school as well as college. So I've known Dan since we were probably 17.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I love those stories.
Yeah. Yeah, so he it's funny, we played against each other in prep school. He was at South Kent when I was at National Sports Academy, and then he did his post-grad year at National Sports Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both kind of went our separate ways for junior, and a couple of my prep buddies ended up going to Cortland, and my last year junior, I was looking at some different schools, and having those guys there was kind of important in that decision to go to Cortland. It's obviously relatively close to home too, but having former teammates there was important throughout that process. So, yeah,
absolutely it makes it a little easier for the transition too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, 4-year player at Cortland. Can you talk about your career a little bit?
Yeah. So I played 4 years there. Aged out a junior, like we've talked about. Went in. We we had an interesting group. My first year, I thought we had a pretty good team. We had some good younger guys. Had a pretty good older group, in that sophomore junior class. A lot of ups and downs, had some good wins throughout those 4 years, but really never got to the level that they're at right now. It's exciting to watch as an alum. They make the tournament. And they're competitive to win the SUNYAC every year. We had a huge freshman class, and I think by the end of it, there was only 5 of us still on the team. I think we came in with, I want to say 14 or 15 guys.
Wow.
So a lot of turnover there, but great experience. I mean, playing in the SUNYAC, I always felt was one of the top Division III leagues in the country, and being a New York guy, it's, it was kind of a no-brainer to be in that league. Potsdam State was around us growing up. SUNY Canton ended up in the league. So
a lot of great schools. I was just sorry to interrupt. A lot of great schools. Our coach in college played at Elmira. I think he was an All-American, David Quinn. We played, I believe, Plattsburgh or one of the teams up there. It's great hockey up there.
Yeah, you go to Plattsburgh and Oswego, it feels like you're, in a Division I building.
Right. And RIT now is Division I, correct? They were
Atlantic.
They were they won the national championship a few times, Division III, I believe, I was playing. Yeah.
And
so to your point, that's a great league. Great league. Okay, so the question is, what kind of player were you? What position did you play?
I played center.
Okay.
Yeah, my game kind of changed, from prep school to junior to college. In prep school, I was more offensive, goal scoring, skill that way. And then when I got to school, it was more, penalty kill, defensive, still played center, little right wing, but more just of a north-south, chip in offensively. But my game kind of evolved from level to level. Same thing I tell our guys now, or we talk about, you might be a first liner in prep school or junior, but then you got to carve out a niche to, maybe be a middle six or fourth line guy and stay in the lineup every night. So that was kind of, my role there. I played pretty offensive role early, I guess, in my career, freshman, sophomore year. And then kind of as the team developed, I ended up more as third, fourth liner. And, I would say towards the end of my career, that was kind of what it was. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's you're always evolving your game and trying to change things. And, so yeah, that was interesting for me just cause I'd always been more of an offensive guy, but
yeah. Any great memories, any great wins, anything that stand out from your career in the positive?
Yeah. We beat Plattsburgh there, I think 3-0. I want to say my sophomore year, and they were really good. Like they had some really good players that went on to play on the East Coast. And I mean, they made the tournament there every year. Or they were, them and Oswego were very competitive, battling out over that top spot. So beating them in Plattsburgh didn't happen very often. When they have 3,000 fans and it's sold out, and to shut them out at home.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's tough to do. So
suck the energy out of the arena.
It was nice, yeah. And that was actually we swept that weekend. We beat Potsdam, which was basically a home game for me, and then going to beat Plattsburgh was great to sweep the North Country because that's awesome. Usually doesn't happen. So
that's awesome. So when did you start thinking about coaching? Like during this time, was it in college you start thinking about that, or how did that start kind of sneak in?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to be involved in hockey. Afterwards, I was a sport management major, did my master's in athletic administration. So I knew in some way just, given my family background and what I'd grown up and been around, that was an area that I always wanted to stay in. So senior year, I was debating if I wanted to try and go to Europe and play, on a lower level there and kind of travel, or, kind of get into a pro organization. And I needed to do an internship to graduate for sport management. And I ended up coming out here, my first time in New Hampshire, and I took a job with the Manchester Monarchs in the American League.
Oh, cool.
Selling tickets actually in the front office. And it was great because it was a full-time job, not just an internship, but it was still kind of checking that box. And the president at the time, Darren Abbott, I think he actually still is out in Ontario with their American League team. He's from Canton, from my hometown.
Oh,
so
cool.
he helped me get the job here. And I guess long story short, ticket sales weren't really for me. As a younger guy, you kind of think like, I'll work my way up and try and get into the, more of the management side, or, get more involved with the player side of it. And it's funny because Southern New Hampshire, I always wanted to get my master's degree, and Southern New Hampshire had a master's program there with their hockey team. And Dan Jewell, again, he was going to take the job at Southern New Hampshire, and something came up where he ended up deciding to go to Hamilton College instead. And he gave my name to the head coach at Southern New Hampshire, and I'm sitting in the office one day. You got to make like 100 calls to try and re-up tickets and try and get people to come check out the arena during the summer. So my phone's ringing all the time, right? Phone rings, I pick it up, and it's the head coach at Southern New Hampshire University, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to come coach hockey?" And I'm sitting in the ticket office, like literally trying to sell tickets, and he was like, "We have a men's league game tonight. Why don't you come down and meet with me?" And basically from there, this was probably in August at this point. I had fulfilled my internship at that point. If I remember right, I think I went in the next day and I was like, I'm done here. I'm going to go try and coach and get a free master's degree. So from there, it kind of took off. Yeah, that was the first. I didn't have it necessarily in my plans, but I knew I figured maybe the 2 years with the master's and then kind of get back into the administration side of athletics, whether it was pro or college, kind of go from there.
So that was the beginning, I guess, of the coaching grind, right?
Correct. Yep.
And I guess so. At that point in your life, at that level, there's probably you're moving around a lot, right, in between programs.
Yep.
What was that life like in the beginning?
Yeah, so it was a little different. Southern New Hampshire's Division II. We played Division II, Division III schedule. The second year there, we actually ended up winning the NE10. So that's what really got the kind of the bug for me to, it's like, this is kind of fun, right? You build a team, you recruit guys, and then you kind of see how it pays off. And I didn't know anything. I just was really the only assistant on the road recruiting. So just tried to get out there, network, meet a lot of people. And fortunately, we had success the second year. And then I got a call from Steve Jacobs, who's a longtime Cushing head coach. And he had started a program up in Waterville Valley, New Hampshire. Okay. So I'd been 2 years in New Hampshire, and it looked like it was going to be number 3. So I think the day after we won, he called and offered me a job, and I took it basically on the spot. So I went up and lived in Waterville for a year, had to recruit and fill 2 teams up there. So that was really the start of the grind, right? At Southern New Hampshire, we did a lot of stuff locally. There's enough good players in the New England, Boston area to get to Southern New Hampshire. But then once I got into the junior hockey, that's where you're pulling guys really from all over the place. Right. You're on the road a lot. But I would say when that grind really started, was basically going to the USHL, right? Trying to, once the draft and having to get on the road, go to Minnesota, go to all these different places to help, with our draft. Right. So that's where it got crazy, taking off on Sundays and all those things.
And that's a big league, right? How many teams are in that league?
Yeah, it's like 18.
Yeah, that's a lot of travel.
13-hour bus rides. You go from Sioux City, Iowa to Youngstown, Ohio is not close.
Oh, man. Your knees must have been. I just remember those long bus rides. My knees would be killing me getting off the bus. Oh, they can be brutal.
Yeah,
Absolutely brutal.
I always thought about the guys. For us as coaches, it was like, it's not ideal, but you don't have to
Right.
go out there and play the next night.
Right.
Those guys are getting off the bus at 6 a.m. We have breakfast. You pull up to a diner literally at 6 a.m. You drove through the night. You get up, guys get off the bus, have a meal, and then you're on the ice for a pregame skate, and you're playing that night, and you sleep on a bus. And then you get a night in a hotel, you play a second game, and you get back on the bus and go back. So,
It's not very glamorous. It's more like sounds like more like Slapshot, right?
it is. Yeah, it's definitely more like that.
But that's a very elite league. So the caliber of hockey, to everybody that's listening, this is top-notch hockey. I'm sure you had, Division I players in college, future Division I players, future NHL players. Speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, the interesting thing with the USHL, especially then, this was 2018 to 2020. I was in the league with Sioux City, who had, I want to say 30 plus NHLers. I mean, guys that are, the Paciorettys of the world, captains in the NHL, like some big time players.
Yeah.
The interesting thing in that league is you're already going Division I. That's, if
That's
you're in the
given.
league, you're a Division I player.
No kidding.
So there's guys are already committed by the time they get there. If they're not, they can pick for the most part where they want to go, or at least have a lot of options, right? And I was fortunate there. Like, I want to say with our affiliates, guys that had come up and just played a few games, I would say I probably coached 5 to 7 NHLers during those 2 years. And again, as like a younger coach, you have those guys come through, and it's impressive. Like, they're
Right.
16, 17 years old, but you can see right away that they're just different. So
Right. You can see that skill set, right? It's just, especially if they're that elite, it just stands out.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cool thing with those guys too is, they obviously care about other things in their life, but you can tell right away, like, they're hockey players. That's why they're there. They really want to be, the best. They want to be high end, like, whether it's as a 16-year-old, if you're rolling out on foam rollers in the locker room before practice, like, you're a little different, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, as a trainer, I've had, I don't specialize in young athletes, but I've had my share. We've talked about that a little bit.
yeah.
And that type of athlete separates themselves even at the age of like 12, 13, 14. I've had kids, I tell a kid a recovery program, let's say stretching, foam rolling, whatever it is, band work. And I understand that many of them won't do it, but I give them the opportunity. And the kids that actually write it down, I had one kid get a magnetic board, put it on his wall, and make markers on the wall of what I wanted him to do. His dad called me to tell me that.
Wow.
And, no surprise, he's playing basketball somewhere. I think he's at UNH playing basketball now. But so to your point, when you see that, that's especially if that accompanies talent, that there's a future there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think one of the funnier stories, guys that would know or watch hockey, Akira Schmid was our goalie, and he's with Vegas now, who they're obviously still playing. I think he's either with their American League team, but he's been up as a backup. He's started a lot of games for them. We acquired him in a trade one time, or I guess my second year, and first day he comes in, he was a 4th or 5th round pick of the Devils. First day he comes in, I mean, he looks like an American League player. I mean, he's like 17, 18. And he comes in and he's just, the guys, they see him like rolling out and like he has bands, he's stretching in our weight room. Like, it was the first day there. Guys are looking around like, is this guy like in the NHL or what's going on here? I mean, he's like 6'5", right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of a cool thing. Like, our guys saw him he's an ultimate pro. So to see that at that age. This kid's a little different.
Well, that maturity level that separates athletes too, right? Those guys that can mature a little bit earlier have a big advantage, and there is a maturity level to taking care of yourself like that, right? You understand that you do need to take care of your body at a young age, and these are the steps to take. So it's cool when you see it, and like I said, it's cool when it accompanies talent, because then the sky's the limit, right? So, so you were at Sioux City for a couple of years, then you kind of shuffled around a little bit. And you could do 2 stints at Robert Morris, it looks like.
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yep. So I was in Sioux City 2 years, and then got offered the job with Derek Schooley at Robert Morris. There was a pretty good connection there with some of the Sioux City staff and that had spent time in Pittsburgh. And our goalie coach, Shane Clifford, who was with the Penguins back in the day, he was our goalie coach in Sioux City, and he was living in Pittsburgh. So there was kind of that nice connection there too. Got offered the job, took it, moved to Pittsburgh. It was an unbelievable experience. All these years, finally get an assistant Division I job. Didn't know anything about Pittsburgh. Had never been there. Just packed my car in Sioux City and started to look for apartments. Had a great year. It was during COVID, so it was a little different, but we won our pod in the West, won the regular season. Coach Schooley got coach of the year. We had, multiple guys, all conference team. So it was one of my favorite years in hockey still. We had some really good players. The staff that was there, before the assistants did a good job recruiting. So really good year. And then basically I'm trying to think of the exact date because I had it memorized for a long time, but we got a call. I was on a Zoom with a recruit, and I got a call from my boss, and he basically said, you need to jump on a Zoom with the president of the school right now. So I get on. I had just offered a kid a scholarship like 5 minutes before. Yep. Get on a Zoom. Long story short, they tell all the players are on it. They tell us they're dropping hockey, that Robert Morris isn't going to have a hockey program anymore.
Wow.
Which was, no idea. Wow. Yeah. No idea that was coming. Yeah.
Yeah. You must have just talk about a punch in the gut, huh?
Yeah, it was tough because, like I said, that was my first Division I job, and to have that happen was tough. But the bigger thing was I felt really bad for our guys. Right, we returned everybody. I think we graduated 2 kids, and everybody else was coming back. So we felt really good about our team going into the next year.
Right,
and then to have that happen, and really what's going through your mind is how do you find these guys homes in late June or late May.
Yeah.
Everybody's recruiting classes are full. There's not scholarship money, and you got to try and help, 28, 29 guys, 30 guys find homes. What
was the reason, Ryan? What was the reason they dropped hockey?
Just financials. They felt that it wasn't, a financially sustainable program with the travel and, it was, they put a lot of money into basketball. It's a good basketball program there too. And, they own the rink, but it's off campus. They had talked about building a new rink or updating the current one. And just the numbers didn't match up for what they wanted. And now Mercyhurst is going through the same thing. They just dropped their program, and that's Robert Morris's rival, right? It's in Erie, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour and a half away. So to see what they're going through, kind of hits home a little bit with our past at Robert Morris. So, yeah.
So you were in Pittsburgh for how long? A year? Just a year or 2 years?
Just that year. And then I ended up coming back for that second stint. But I was there, all in all, I was there 3 years.
It's interesting because the last time I competed in the National Bodybuilding Championships, they were in Pittsburgh.
Really?
And it is a different looking city. It's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just surrounded by forest and trees, and it's just cool old mining area,
Yeah, it's great. I think I tell people that haven't been there because it is off the beaten path for, New Englanders, New Yorkers, Eastern people. Like you're not driving through Pittsburgh very often, right?
No, it's a destination if you have to go there for sure, right?
Yeah, but I tell people and I try and describe it. You go to a Penguins game, you can watch Crosby, you can get in your car and not sit in traffic and literally drive 15 minutes home.
Yeah.
Like it's
cool.
It's different. Like you can
do
do a lot of things without traffic and stuff like that. So
I have a client that I train, Tori. She's a big Sidney Crosby fan and a big Pittsburgh Penguins fan. So she goes to about 2 or 3 games a year down there, and she's got autographs and stuff. And she loves Pittsburgh. So it's a great area. So from there, did you go to Colorado College and then Merrimack? And so tell me about that little transition into Merrimack, I guess.
Yeah, so I went to Colorado College. Katie was working with the Avalanche at the time. So it worked out well. I ended up going there. I know the head coach at CC very well. He was an assistant at St. Lawrence, Chris Mayotte, and have a relationship with him. So he gave me the job there as the hockey ops. And in the following year, it was supposed to be adding that third assistant position. So I went out there to be with Katie and to do that. And to be honest, like, we had another great year. It was a lot of fun. We lost to St. Cloud in the final of the NCHCs, beat Denver in the semis 1-0,
awesome.
Which was really fun.
Oh, that must have felt great.
They were always really good, but they were really good that year.
Yeah.
So I was just there the 1 year, and then that's when I went back to Robert Morris. Head coach had worked over those couple years to bring the program back. They just practiced for a year, tried to kind of recruit, and that was the year I was at CC. So I went back to Pittsburgh. Katie stayed in Colorado for another year, and then basically those 2 years at Robert Morris was just rebuilding. Right, there was no players. We had 2 recruiting classes, I guess 3 recruiting classes by the time I left. And to be honest, it was a grind, right? Like, we were really young. We did take some transfers, but tried to build a lot through the freshman classes. We had some big freshman sophomore class my second year. Was there for 2 years trying to build that back up. And Coach Schooley gave me a great opportunity to really have a pretty big hand in that role. So that was enjoyable. And then this year they lost in the semis to Sacred Heart in Game 3. So from afar, it was good to follow. It seems like they're going the right direction. And for how good he had that program going before they dropped, it was really nice to see him have success and kind of get the program back to where it was in relatively short order. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. How difficult was it when you went back and started trying to recruit again?
It was tough.
I'm sure it had challenges, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that first year, the question we got a lot was, is the program sustainable? Is it going to be around for a while? Like, that was one of the main questions parents had. And, Coach Schooley did such a good job, fundraising and getting it back on, solid ground. It actually is probably better now than it was beforehand. So once you have one buddy, you recruit a kid who has a friend who has a good experience, and then that question started to go away year 2, which was nice, because that's a tough thing to over recruit sometimes when you hear that. But like I said, we had 2 big classes. It wasn't easy to get really. We were told no a lot for a while.
Right.
And then, like I said, they had a good year this year, so hopefully they can continue to keep it going. But
cool. And then, I think you came to Merrimack last summer, so it's circling back to what? Like, when did because you came into my gym and you grabbed the membership.
August.
That's how we met. So everybody listening or watching on YouTube, we met probably, but what'd you say, August last year?
Yep.
And I hit it right off as soon as I found out you were coaching at Merrimack, and I probably just couldn't shut up for 20 minutes. My tail was wagging so fast, But it was cool to have you there, and it's been great to get to know you and to watch you, watch your program this year get to the Hockey East Championship and win it has been really cool. So talk to me about moving. Is that what I got next? I do. What's it like moving now? You got to move from Pittsburgh to New Hampshire, right? Is that the chronology?
That's correct. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So Katie joined me in Pittsburgh that second year, so we had a place there.
Okay, good.
And that was tough. I mean, to be honest, like, a lot of people don't really know, like, to leave Robert Morris with what we were doing there, and we felt like we were that was our program, and we were trying to rebuild it. And I just, after what happened the first time around, I had a lot of stock in things that were going on there. So to take the job at Merrimack, I mean, Hockey East, obviously, it's a big step up. It's great to get back closer to home, be in New England, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to leave, I think people would be surprised. It was way harder than most people would think. So I'm
sorry, I was going to say, you hatched that program essentially.
Yeah.
So that's a tough thing to walk away from.
Yeah, and I have a great relationship with the head coach there. I had a really good relationship with our other assistant, and he ended up leaving for Bowling Green the same time I left for Merrimack.
Okay.
So they brought in 2 new assistants, but yeah, having, stock with those kids, those players, like to lose 2 assistants, and I was the second one to leave. Our other assistant left first, so that was tough. Just having brought those guys in, had a piece of bringing them in, and then taking a new job. But it's worked out great, probably better than I could have hoped. So
I don't know if you could have had a better first year. Honestly, what an incredible run. All right, so let's take a look at. So you're in Merrimack.
Yep. Yeah. So back to that question. We moved together. My dad actually came down with a U-Haul. He's a crazy person, so he came down and flew into Pittsburgh. He drove the U-Haul. Katie and I drove the cars, and we found a place online. A buddy helped. I have still some friends in the area from my Southern New Hampshire days, so I had a buddy help. I knew the area well enough, and yeah, we got married around the same time. We got married August 23rd, so we were just dropping boxes basically in the apartment and going up to Lake Placid to get married, and then the season started like that. So there wasn't a lot of time to think things through.
Right, and so hockey got in the way of the honeymoon, is what I'm hearing, basically.
It did. Yeah, well,
a little bit.
Yeah, the guys were coming back to campus, and
you got to be there.
Obviously, wasn't sure that we had no idea that this job was going to happen. Like I had cleared it with Robert Morris.
Right.
And so I just wanted to get here, get to know the guys, and it's hard when you come in late and you're trying to build relationships before the puck drops. So I didn't really have a choice there. I had to be around for this. So Katie was very patient for a year. So
that's cool. And I was going to say it has to be a team effort, right? For you guys, you and Katie. I mean, we're going to get into that in a little bit, but you've got to have supportive spouse, partner, friend, friendship there, because there's a lot to it. It's a lot of moving parts in what you do, no question. So you get to Merrimack. So how's the hierarchy work with this stuff? You've got a head coach. Obviously, he has responsibilities. Then you've got, Dan and yourself. So let's start, I guess, with what are you in charge of day to day before we get into the run, you guys had this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we've talked about already, the relationship with Dan made things very smooth. It's not very often you can change jobs and seamlessly just kind of keep doing what you were doing previously. So for me, I do the power play and work with our forwards, O-zone, different things like that. Dan does penalty kill, runs the D, works with the goalies, kind of takes care of the D zone and those types of things. I work with the centers, face-offs, things like that. So we're really doing the complete opposite stuff. And then we're both involved in recruiting. We have another assistant, David Woodford, who also helps with the recruiting. So there's 3 of us there.
Okay.
But just as far as the puzzle pieces go for our staff, him and I are just completely opposite. So it worked out. It worked out that way. I actually was running the penalty kill at Robert Morris, but throughout my career, I've been more of a power play guy. So it actually was a better fit for me to come in and have that opportunity.
And then the head coach kind of just glues it all together.
Exactly. Really, yeah. Coach Boric, unbelievable motivator, great players coach. It's like cliche things to say, but it's true. He doesn't really talk about having an open door policy because the guys are in there 24/7 on his couch.
Awesome.
And, he does a great job. He obviously oversees the whole program and, all of our systems and different things like that. Video. We all do video, but, he's got a big part of the pre-scouts and, teaching video, things like that. So between the 3 of us, we we kind of split things up, and that part of it, like I said, a lot of places there's questions kind of on who's going to do what and how the pieces are going to kind of fit together, but that has been like the easiest part of this job, which is rare.
And I would think that probably helped the team in the long run, right? You guys are very specific about what you're in charge of. You're responsible for it as coaches. You're teaching it. There's no nuanced areas, right? It's just defined. And I would think that direction from the top is important too.
Yeah, and Coach Bork's done a great job with that. Like, if we're doing individual video, forwards want video, like I'm going to do the one-on-one video with the forwards, unless it's like a penalty kill clip, then Dan will do that. If there's a power play clip for a D, I'll take that D and show him a power play clip. But outside of that, like if it's a breakout or something, like, Dan's going to do all that individual video. So we're kind of...
It is amazing. It is amazing to me. I'm sorry how much the game has progressed. I'm older than you, but in my lifetime. Yeah. I mean, the attention to detail now is it's awesome, how much time is spent. And I imagine that puts a lot more pressure on the athletes to some extent too. Correct? Or
no, it definitely does. I think they're so involved, right? They live it, right? Like with our schedule, we practice and we call it Champions Ice, which is our skill development ice, and we have that in the afternoon. So guys are working out, doing video practice, training room, class, and then they come back if they want. It's optional, but they're able to come back and skate again. So they're still trying to juggle class and obviously the social aspect of a college life, but hockey is just so there's a lot of pressure there for them as well.
How do you handle that with them? Do you guys talk about it? I mean, there's got to be some level of compassion from the coaching staff, I would think, right, for what they're going through. When they're having. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The big thing with them, is when they earn days off, like they're taking advantage of those, right? Good. Like if towards that, we talk about that playoff run, we were giving them Mondays off. Like they were working so hard, and the grind was just so involved, right? Like there wasn't a like just as an example, we win Hockey East. We have a selection show Sunday morning. Like the guys literally are on a bus, go to bed, and they're up the next morning, and we got to figure out, we end up in Sioux Falls, but
right,
they're trying to figure out where they're going next. Like they barely slept, and we're already on to the next thing. So yeah, it takes a special person, special athlete to be able to live that lifestyle, and I mean that's why they're here, right? I mean they've been doing it their whole lives, and but yeah, you definitely have to have some compassion for where they're at mentally and physically, right?
Absolutely. So when you're recruiting these kids, is there something? What's the one thing you like to see? Like, is there something that you look for? I mean, I'm sure there's some red flags too.
Yeah.
But a lot of that you probably get in tape and some secondhand stuff. But what's like at the top of your checklist when you're recruiting?
I think the big one is, we want to have good people in the program, because if you don't, it can put it in the wrong direction in a hurry, right? Like one person can really upset the locker room if they're not, a good person here for the right reason. So that's number one. We do a lot of background work on kids to see, I've called some random people in my day to see, and they're like, why are you calling me? What are you asking me about? I haven't seen this kid since he was 15. I'm like, well, I just want to know how he was like there. So yeah, that's the number one thing is just, having good people in the program. From a hockey standpoint now, like I think work ethic's huge, just your competitiveness, because you can overcome a lot of smaller things if you're competitive and you work, right? Like if you're not a perfect skater, but you're going to outwork a guy, you're going to have the puck more. But I would say competitiveness, skating, and skill set are kind of the three big ones, right? Like if you can't skate, and nowadays you watch NHL playoffs, like there's not a lot of guys that can't skate out there.
No,
right?
It's amazing actually. Yeah.
So that's huge, especially in Hockey East, like you're playing BU, BC, like those guys can skate. So you gotta make sure that you get the best skaters you can, but they got to be ultra competitive too. And
all right, so let's get back on the because I want to talk about the NAL and a little bit of recruiting, but let's get back to the Merrimack season, because that's such a special season. So was there a time throughout the course of the year that you thought these kids could do something? And When during the run or before the run did you think this might be something? This team might have something, capture something like lightning in a bottle, so to speak.
Yeah. So Coach Boric had said to the guys throughout the year, he really felt that we could win at the Garden, and he'd been saying that since August. And I don't know if the guys truly believed that until we got a little momentum, right? Like any season, like there's, especially in college, there's so many ups and downs. There's, I can think of a couple, like some really down moments this year. We went on 5-game losing streaks, right?
Yeah, tell me about those. That's a lot to overcome.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to the leadership in the room. It's easy to let things spiral in those situations. And, we would lose 5 in a row and then we'd win 5 in a row. So there was always like it's like, if we can figure out a couple things here, we might have something. And I think as that went on, I'm trying to actually give you an exact example.
Go ahead. Take your time.
We ended up with 21 wins this year, but at one point we were like, I don't know if we're going to have that. So early on we lost, this is in October, we lost 5 in a row, and then we won 2 in a row, then we lost 4 in a row, and then this is kind of where things, December 12th, we beat Yale at home, and then we beat Long Island at home. Then we beat Vermont on the road. Then we beat Brown. Then we beat Holy Cross. So we went on a little run there after Christmas. And then I'll give 2 examples of where things were kind of interesting. So we go on that 5-game winning streak, and then we get swept by UMass. We should have beat them at home on Friday. They end up beating us 4-2 with an empty netter. And then we go to UMass and we lose 3-1. So that was like one of those, like, we really needed those points to get swept in our league. Tough. Northeastern comes in, we sweep them at home, which is tough to do too. I think they have obviously a good program. So we sweep them, we beat UNH in a shootout, we beat Stonehill, we beat BC. So there's another 5-game winning streak. Then we lose to BC when we were winning 2-1 late in that game. So that was another one where it was like we really needed that. And then this was kind of the turning point in the season. So we lose to BC on a Saturday. We have to go up to Orono and play Maine the next weekend. And that's probably the hardest
tough place to play. Yeah.
So we go up there and we get swept. And that was kind of where we're like, where are we at here? I don't know exactly what our record was at the time, but that was really the turning point. After that, we won. We didn't lose again until we lost to North Dakota. So we won. We just rattled off. We beat Vermont twice, Lowell, Providence, UMass, and UConn. So that's like, 7, I guess, in a row, or 6 in a row there. So that's when it kind of, after that UMass, or that Vermont kind of win at home that weekend, Lowell comes in, our last regular season game of the year, and then we play them in the playoffs in the first round, which is another really weird thing to have happen.
I remember I remember talking to you about that.
Yeah. And then the last thing, which is interesting about the run that not a lot of people probably know, we had a winning record against Providence this year after beating them in the playoffs. We were 2-1 against them. We were 1-1 going into that, but we hadn't beat UMass or UConn all year. We didn't beat either of those teams once in the regular season. So to have those guys at the Garden, having not beat them, to end up beating both of those teams, you got to give the guys just a ton of credit for, even from a mental standpoint, having not beat a team and then playing in front of whatever that building holds.
Yeah.
It was a 17,000 or.
The kids must have been believing in themselves. I mean, once you knock off Providence and you're heading to the Garden, I can imagine the momentum was just pouring, right?
Yeah.
The energy must have been off the charts.
Yeah, I think that Providence one, like we already talked about a little bit, that was where the guys were like, we just beat the 1 seed, like we can do something here.
Yeah.
And with the way Max was playing, like he was great. So phenomenal.
Max Lundgren, the goalie for Merrimack, had a great season. Just everybody listening, impressive. I'm a former goalie, so I could keep an eye on goalies, and he could have a bright career. He's a talented kid. he plays a very quiet game. I like it. Very, very positional, very disciplined, and extremely talented. Love it. All right. So what was it like when you won Hockey East? Tell me about it. What was going through your mind? Like, what was that game like? Energy before I saw you on TV walking into the Garden for the championship game, and I was like screaming, "That's Ryan!" What was that like? Because that's just what a moment. Like, even backpedal a little bit. What an experience just to be in the championship game, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Hockey East did a great job with the tournament. I mean, it was my first. I'm sure they do a great job every year, but it was my first experience there. Like, they put you up in a great hotel. You're not that far from the rink. We actually had the police, drive us to the rink.
Awesome.
Ahead of the bus, so everybody's pulling over, and the guys get to see that. That's a really cool experience, right? Having just having the police kind of put the sirens on and get you to the Garden.
It's awesome.
We had a ton of fans lined up at that walk-in that you're talking about. What an experience for the guys, like parents, alums, friends, all that stuff. We had, I want to say the number was like 15 buses come down from Merrimack just for that, before the game. Guys were, students are taking the train down. Our fan support in that game, in that whole tournament, was unbelievable. But
I bet the alumni must have been thrilled too, huh?
Yeah, we had a lot there. I ran into a couple up in like the concourse after the game, and guys you don't even know are just grabbing you, saying congrats, awesome. And just a lot of support that way. The school is unbelievable. Getting people there, students, the marketing piece of it to let everybody know that what was going on with the alums and all that, unbelievable. So, but going into that game, it's weird because, it's almost, I think it's been 3 months was it March? Yeah, it's been about 3 months since we won. And I think back to it a lot. And I remember like the last 7 seconds of that game, just as the clock went down, like UConn had a couple chances. We hit the post with an empty net. To go up 3-1. So that was a little scary, obviously, at the time.
Right.
But you kind of block out the fans and that sort of thing in the game. It's like, it's you, your staff, and the guys on the bench, right? I remember before the game, just it was packed. It was sold out during the national anthem and stuff like that. I have some cool pictures where I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. But once the puck drops, you could be playing, anywhere, right? We could have been at home at Lawler. We could have been anywhere, really, because you're doing the same things, right? It's a process. So it's you're just focused on the things that got you there, and like I said, until like the last, I want to say 7 to 10 seconds, I'm like, wow, we have a chance to get this done. Until that point, it was everything else, right? Like power play breakouts, ozone, all these different things that you're just focused on throughout the game, where you don't. I think at the end, when I was standing with our staff and all of our wives and the players' girlfriends and parents and all those things were happening behind the bench, that's when I finally was like, wow, we got the champion hat, and like, that's when it slows down for you a little bit. Like I have more memories kind of from that, and then like in the lobby after, just the celebration piece more so than actually the game.
Right, you're so dialed into the game and so present though. What a great mindset though. Like one thing, kind of a side note, I love about doing these podcasts. Right, I have to dial it in. I have to focus. Right, and I love that element of it. And you don't have that if you're not like when you're playing hockey like that at a high level. You've got to be dialed in. You know what I'm talking about. That level of focus. The time stands still, and if you break that can be a problem. So you really have to stay diligent about what you're doing at that moment and be present. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And as loud as the fans were, like I said, our fans were unbelievable. When we scored, you couldn't hear on the bench. Like it was crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The first goal of the game to go up 1-0. I mean, that was probably the loudest I've heard in a rink that I've been on the bench for. I mean, it was insane. But
that's
then
awesome.
you're thinking about what happens after that, what the next, what line's going out, what, kind of what the next, keeping the guys calm on the bench, trying to just, go move on to that next play. But yeah, I mean, the experience was unbelievable. So
yeah, there's a lot of ebbs and flows to a game, isn't there, man?
There
a lot
is.
of momentum shifts. I mean, and you got to weather it all. All right, so you guys win it. The kids party. They got to get up early and check where they're heading for, right, for the seedings, because you got the automatic bid, which is awesome. Congratulations. You're going to the national championships. You got North Dakota, and you played them well. What was that like, that trip out to where did they play? Where was that regional?
So that
it was out in North Dakota, right?
Yep. Yeah, so they played in the Sioux Falls Stampede rink, the USHL team, which is
okay.
It's a great facility, probably the best in the league in the USHL. Denny Sanford Premier Center is what it's called. They hold concerts there. Like, it's more like an American League rink, really, than a junior hockey rink. They do an outstanding job. So we were fortunate. We got a private jet out of Manchester, which was
cool.
nice. So, the guys watched the award show or the selection show. We already knew where we were going. Just, you talk to people, you hear things, just kind of the way that the brackets went. We thought it was interesting that us, Quinnipiac, and Providence were all going to Sioux Falls, and nobody was going to Albany or Worcester.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
But
yeah,
just, I guess, the way they wanted to do it. And
I noticed that.
The experience was great. It's weird because I've talked to people, and I felt like the Garden experience was, I don't want to say like better because we won, but it was off. I mean, it was hard to top that, right? You're going from the Bruins rink to a junior hockey rink for the NCAAs, and obviously North Dakota is going to have, I mean, it was their rink, right? Their fans. It's not very far. That's basically a home game for them. We were excited to play them. We watched a ton of video, talked to a lot of people. We thought we were a good matchup. It's unfortunate, chances wise and things like that. Like, we were right there, if not, a little ahead of them. But we had a goal called back in the second period when they were up 1-0. That would have tied the game. That hurt. I mean, they're a good hockey team. I mean, they made the Frozen Four. You can't take anything away from them. They've got a ton of talent. They've got guys that you'll be watching on TV someday here. Their goalie played really well against us. But yeah, I mean, the experience for our guys, especially, a lot of first year players, to go out to play in South Dakota against North Dakota on one of the biggest stages these guys have played on is something, hopefully that they can take for the rest of their careers moving forward in those situations. So.
Absolutely, and those are the things the kids dream about, right? Playing in those tournaments, winning Hockey East, playing in the playoffs, those pressure games with those people. You remember those moments, there's no question. So what do you think this run means, or this run meant, or it means to the program at Merrimack? I imagine it's been a pretty good boost.
I think it's huge. I think, since Coach Boric has been there, I think he's going on his 8th year. I hope I'm right on that. I think I am. And he's made the championship at the Garden twice in the last 4 years, which is great for the program. I think winning this year, obviously, is huge for our school, right? There's that logo recognition. It should help with enrollment and kids that want to come and watch hockey's team play that had success last year. And again, like, we're recruiting against and playing against, some of the top teams in the country every night, right? With the Providences and the BUs and the BCs, the guys that we've talked about. So winning that for us, I think, goes a long way for the school. It's just a smaller school. Like I said, the recognition of the brand, I think, is huge just for incoming students, for our recruiting purposes, and most importantly for the guys in the locker room, right? The president of the school as well, like those types of guys that have worked to put this program where it is, the athletic director. There's a lot of people that are involved that don't, really, you don't see the credit that what they've done behind the scenes to make it happen. And like I said, the guys in the room are the most important. They won for each other. They did it the right way. Nobody gave us really a chance. And, they came together and they got hot at the right time, and something that they'll live with the rest of their lives. And Nobody can take it from them. So it's great for them.
No.
And like I said, the president and the AD and all the people that are involved, that, it's unbelievable that their work's paid off for that.
To your point, it's a small school, great academically, great hockey program. So, I mean, it's going to have its appeal to the right athlete, no question. Not every athlete wants to go to a giant school. So how has recruiting been since the Hockey East Championship? You were recently. Did you just fly out for a recruiting trip, Ryan? I know you got back last night. Was that for recruiting?
Yeah. I went out to Chicago. I've been on the road the last, outside of the honeymoon. I was at a selection camp for nationals in New York, and then I was out in Chicago doing some recruiting, and it's USHL camp time of year, so there's those are some things that are on our radar, and the Memorial Cup still going on with the CHL teams, so there's still hockey to see. That's
awesome. Talk to me a little about what the NIL has meant for college hockey. I know it's changing the game there as well, correct? Yeah, so
it's really dependent, like school to school, right? Big Tens obviously have more say in the rules and different things like that, and there's more, I guess, money to give to players. I mean, for us, it's not really our thing right now. We just, again, it's a smaller school that just went all Division I in sports, right? It was Division II for a long time. It's the bigger schools that really have that money to throw around a little bit. And I think, again, like the kids that are getting that money are, first round picks, guys that they're trying to get out of the CHL and get into college, right? Like an example, Providence had Roger McQueen last year. He's a first rounder, Ducks pick, unbelievable player. But he was at Providence 1 year and then he signs, right? So he comes in, plays that 1 year, and then signs his contract. And Gavin McKenna at Penn State gets paid to go play there for a year, and then he's not drafted. He'll be drafted very soon in the next couple weeks. Yeah. Yep. And then he'll sign. So you've got that changes the landscape a little bit, where there's some revenue share that way and NIL money. But a lot of the schools, you think of the Ivies, a lot of the smaller schools don't have that type of money to throw around. So it's still, for us, it's recruiting per usual, right? It's you gotta find your niche in different ways to get the best guys possible. So
yeah, and it seems like it's the NIL's created a not so level playing field to some extent, correct? Obviously the Penn States. These programs weren't what they were now, even 10 years ago, right? 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely. I hate to say it's like a tiered system, but we don't want that in college hockey, right? You want to see a Union College win a national championship. You want to see a Yale win a national championship. You want to see some of those smaller schools. RIT made the Frozen Four however many years ago. There's all these little cool stories of those smaller schools winning national championships, or at least getting to the Frozen Four. And you look at the Frozen Four this year, it's the Blue Bloods, right? It's Wisconsin, It's North Dakota, it's Michigan. It
was, yeah.
Denver.
Yep, and Denver won it again. What's that, their 13th or 14th championship? What an amazing program, huh?
And on paper, they had a down year. Just have a down year, win a national championship, and figure it out next year.
No big deal, right?
Yeah. They do a great job there. It's actually impressive. It's really impressive.
It is. It's unbelievable. Did you, just a kind of a side note, Ryan, I just read somewhere that the NCAA is proposing changing the eligibility rules. Did you see that? Like, you have to go to college X amount of years after you've turned 19, or and then there's a limit on how long you can stay there. Can you talk to me a little about that? And then the second part of that is, whatever you know about it, how's that going to affect everything? And now they're trying to bring it the other way, right? They're trying to bring the pendulum back a little bit on these kids. Yeah, which I think would be a good thing.
So that's, even with us, that's still like learn as we go, work in progress type thing, because the final vote on that's in June, like I think the end of the month or third week maybe. So the proposal is a five years to play 5, right? So there's no more medical red shirts. If you get hurt, that would count as part of one of your 5 years. Mm-hmm. The big thing with it is your clock would start when you turn 19 or after you graduate, whichever comes first. So that's the kind of if you graduate or turn 19, that's when your clock would start. So for junior hockey, say you graduate at 18, you basically have 1 year to play before your clock starts. So I think the big question for hockey right now is, if you have a kid that graduates at 18, he plays 2 years of junior, he plays 18, 19, turns 20. Now he's got 4 years to play, right? I mean, we have guys that come in as, turn 21 during their freshman year. If you're playing junior, if say you graduate and then you play 3 years of junior hockey, now you've only got 3 years. With the new rule, you would only have 3 years of college eligibility. So there's a lot of moving parts with that right now. We're kind of waiting to see how it all plays out. I think for a lot of kids, like you're probably only looking to play 4 years anyway. Right. So if you have a choice to, go to school or play another year of junior to potentially get that scholarship, you're probably willing to roll the dice on that 5th year and college sports has been 4 years forever.
Right.
Right. And I think maybe like the 5th year thing would be good for guys that want to stay and get their masters and have that extra year. I think you won't see a ton of that, right? Guys are going to want to go on and play pro, sign contracts.
Right.
And if you just every year that you play in college, you're getting a year older, right? It's harder to especially with the, pro hockey now. I mean, it's so young. So if you're going to play a 5th year and turn 25 or 26 or whatever it might be, it's going to be harder for you to, climb the ladder that way as well. But
yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of opportunity now too to play overseas. It's you can make a living now, and you don't have to be in the NHL. And what a great experience too.
Yeah.
Cool.
For me to pretend that I know like how it's going to how this is all going to shake out in the next 3 weeks is just not the truth. Like we're learning new things every day, right? We read about things, we hear things, like the NCAA changed their mind from last week to this week with some of the ruling stuff, like where they were going to grandfather in this incoming class. Because, we have 20-year-olds coming in, right? Right. So they're only going to have 3 years of eligibility, and they were going to grandfather them in, and then the end of, this past week, they weren't going to grandfather them in. So I think you'll see a lot of ping pong back and forth here over the next little bit until it kind of goes through the courts and they have something solidified. But every day I learn something new. So I think about it, it's a lot. It's a huge paradigm shift, right? I mean, they were going in the opposite direction. It's great to see him reeling something back in a little bit. But then you always got to figure how's it going to affect the people on the ground, right? The coaching staff, the players, everybody associated with the programs, and the kids and the parents. I mean, all that stuff. But I hope they get a handle on it, because I don't want to see the playing field keep getting tipped. It's not good for competitive athletics, Yeah.
Okay. How you doing, buddy? You all right? You hanging with me?
Yeah.
You're good?
Well,
All right. Got some water there? All right.
Yeah.
I want to get into your relationship with Katie and your marriage and how you guys met and stuff. I think it's great that you guys have hockey backgrounds. Where'd you meet Katie, and kind of tell me that story a little bit?
So I met her. She was actually working in the USHL for the league in like their marketing and social media department. It was my first year in Sioux City, and we were in Pittsburgh at the Fall Classic, which is like the kickoff for the tournament. And I was trying to work on my she tells the story better than me, but I was trying to put our line charts together for the game, and I screwed them all up. We were running late. Obviously we took a bus 15 hours to Pittsburgh, so I was probably running on no sleep. Right. I was trying to get them together for the game, and I gave them to her, and she looked at them, and she was just disgusted at how bad they were. So she had to go out of her way to make new line charts, Like, that's not her job to make Sioux City's line charts. But I gave her ours, and she's like, you can't hand these out. Like, I'm going to have to make you new ones. So that was like our first interaction. And then
tough crowd.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what the? So her family lives in Naples. My parents had a condo in Fort Myers, South Fort Myers. So yeah, I mean, basically I, followed her on Instagram, and she was working for the league. So, I needed to know what was going on with the league, and ended up, chatting with her, and yeah, kind of the rest is history. This was 2018, 2018, I would say, when I first met her. And then, we did long distance for a long time. She was working with the Florida Panthers for 3 years, was down there, and I was in Sioux City, and then I was in Pittsburgh, and she was, still with the Panthers, but her family's from Pittsburgh. So like her grandparents, her aunts, uncles live up there. So she would, come visit, and I would go down there. And then really the first time we lived together was when I took that job at Colorado College. We lived together in Denver. I did that commute every day, which was crazy, but it was worth it. And then we had to kind of separate again for another year. And then she came back to Pittsburgh, and that was an awesome year, that second year at Robert Morris, because we got to spend a ton of time with her family. She's got some younger cousins that are in hockey. So, that was kind of where we were finally together, for good, really, like living together and all that. So the distance thing was tough, but with us both being in hockey, but yeah.
And she's a media. What does she do, Ryan? What's her?
Yeah, so she was a sideline reporter and host. So she was, interviewing the guys in between periods for Colorado and Florida. She was awesome. She was at the desk as like the host, with some of the, the media guys that are answering those questions. Yep. During the game. So she's really dialed into hockey. She was working with the girls' youth hockey program in Colorado when she was out there. Like going out on her skates, and so she does a lot. She's pretty dialed into hockey. People make fun of me sometimes. They're like, she knows more than you do. So like I'll be watching video and I'll be like, hey, what do you think of this? And she can tell me what she thinks, which is kind of funny. People are like, just give us a hard time sometimes. How
cool is that though, right?
It's really
cool. How cool is that?
Yeah.
You both are in hockey, and I'm sure you both to do this had to follow your heart, right? There's always that time in someone's life where they have choices to make. What do you want to do for a living? Where am I going to take? What direction am I going to take? And it seems like the two of you both chose a path that made you happy separately, and look where it's got you, right? I think that's pretty cool, Ryan. I really do. Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the hardest things for us is it was like one of us is going to have to give this one, up at some point, and it just, neither of us really wanted to do that. I didn't want her to stop what she was doing. She's so good at it, right? She's just so knowledgeable, and like I said, comes from a hockey family. Her brother played at Yale. Her dad played at Geneseo. To tell her, you're going to come watch me coach and not work with the Avalanche was just not going to happen. That wasn't the way we were going to do things. So
hockey's in her blood.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're watching here on YouTube, right behind Ryan is a picture of Katie with Nathan McKinnon over his left shoulder.
Yep.
And over the right shoulder is an Emmy Award, right? From when she was in Colorado working for the Avalanche.
Yep.
So very successful, both of you guys. It's awesome,
Yeah, no, she's like I said, she's really good at what she does, and it's remarkable sometimes. Like I said, to hear her talk about hockey, and just like, wow, I didn't really think of it that way. Or she knows more about the NHL than I do, so I always ask her about younger players, or she knows everything from draft to. It's pretty crazy.
And what's she doing now, Ryan? She has a podcast, I think you were saying.
Yeah, she works for the Hockey News, which is based out of Toronto. And so that's kind of her hockey thing right now. She does that weekly. I have actual college buddies that are coaching that'll send me clips that watch that, watch the Hockey News, and they're like, "Oh, I saw your wife talking about the playoffs today," and they'll send a video. I'm just like,
that's awesome.
It's pretty fun.
I love that, dude. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Well, that's great. You guys have a great relationship, and you had a good time on your honeymoon in Grenada.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was Katie's more adventurous than me when it comes to that kind of stuff. I'm more of a like I guess I would say like a routine guy, like to do the same things all the time. So she to get down there and to go snorkeling and hiking through the rainforest and all these different things. It was a great experience. She loved it. I liked it. I mean, obviously had a good time, but you know, she's made for that stuff. So she was pretty dialed in. She organized the whole trip. We had an agenda, so we didn't.
That's awesome.
We didn't sleep in one day. We didn't. She had us on the run the whole time. So
no, you don't want to disappoint Katie. It sounds like
no. You gotta keep her happy for sure.
Sure. Mama ain't happy, nobody happy, but it sounds like she's got some awesome energy.
She does. Yep, she's definitely energetic. That's for sure.
And tell Katie she's got to get into the gym. I haven't seen her in a while, so
I tell her every time I come home. I'm like, you got to get in there.
Katie. I'll give you a free session. Ryan, I want to talk about leadership and your legacy and your perspective on everything. Kind of transition to that. How has your coaching style? How have you evolved over the years as a coach? Right, you've got what 12 years into it now, or 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
What have you learned through those years, and where do you see yourself? What was that transition been? What was that evolution like?
I think for me, one thing that I don't really talk about a ton, but I've been fortunate to work for some big time coaches. I mean, I could name. I wouldn't want to leave guys off, but I've worked for coaches that are currently in Hockey East. I've worked for coaches that are in the CCHA. I've worked for coaches that have been assistants in the NHL. So I think through saying that, I think, I've tried to take things that I like from every person I've worked for, right? And like I would say I've worked for 5, 6, 7 guys that are really good head coaches, really good. And they've won national championships. They've won in pro. Like, I think, for me, you never want to be something that you're not, right? So you can take pieces from everybody that you've worked for and kind of make some of those ideas your own without really changing your identity as a person or coach. Like I said, I've been fortunate. I've learned so many different things from guys. Every year I think I finally have everything. Not everything figured out, but you think you have an idea, and then you learn something new, and you add that to kind of your repertoire. For me, I think the biggest thing that I probably have picked up on over probably the latter half of my career here is when I first started, I thought it was all X's and O's and you want to try and out structure or out X's and O's whoever you're coaching against, playing against, and then over the last little bit here, it's more about for me, it's the people in the room, the recruiting piece. You can't outcoach, great hockey players, right? Like you got to have good players, you got to have good people. And I think just the relationship side and the communication is more important than X's and O's, right? And I probably didn't think that early on. I thought it was more, if you can get guys to buy in and do what you want, you have a good chance to win. And that could be true, but I don't think you can ever outcoach relationships or players. And that was probably the biggest thing I've taken. Like, if guys believe in you, they're going to play hard for you. You can do whatever, any system that you want, right? If you have good players and you have good people, like you're going to have a chance.
And imagine, first of all, your players have to trust you, and for them to trust you, you have to connect with them, right? You've got to be very close to them, and once that bond is formed, I guess that's what you need. And if you're not capable of doing that as a coach, that could be a problem, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is the guys are smart. Like, we always talk about it, they're way smarter than you think, right? Like, they know everything that's going on. So you can't fool them, you can't lie to them. Like, they get it, they know what's going on. So you got to be honest. You have to be yourself. You have to give them truthful feedback, because kids are really smart these days. So it's And that's a good thing, right? Like
social media savvy has changed the athlete, really.
Yeah, and they're always evaluating their situation, right? They're every day. It's what line am I on? What special team am I on? What, who am I playing with? What position am I playing today? Like they're always evaluating and kind of collecting information on where they're at. So,
okay, next question. What separates good leaders from great ones, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit. I think the honesty piece is huge for a great leader, right? Like I watch these NHL guys, like guys want to play for John Tortorella. Like he is as honest as it gets. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. There's no gray area. It's black and white. He's going to tell you. You can see it in his interviews. You can see him on the bench. Like he's unbelievable communicator and he's honest. And for him to take a team, again, I'm not trying to just talk about him, but for him to take a team late in the season, 5 games before the playoffs, and turn him into a cup contender, I mean, he's a great leader. Nobody can doubt, nobody can question, his care, his trust, his leadership abilities. Like he's honest. There's no gray area. And he works. Like the guy's an animal in the gym. Like guys love to watch him work out.
That's awesome.
67, 68 years old, and he's just a freak that way as well. So I use him just because I think it's the honesty, it's the communication, and it's the care. Like those are kind of the things that make you a great leader. You can be a great coach and probably not a great leader of people, right? If you want, you can understand the game and know X's and O's, but that, back to what we just talked about, that doesn't mean guys are going to follow you or trust you or listen to what the message that you're sending. I think it needs to be a combination of both of those things. Yeah, you can see the great leaders in hockey are like that.
Absolutely. You think about the greatest coaches of all time, who's on the Mount Rushmore, just hockey coaches, and not only did they know the X's and O's, but they were great leaders too, right? Yeah. They connected with their players, and that really separates the elite, from successful people for sure. That was a great answer. What impact do you hope to leave on the athletes that you coach?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is outside of the hockey piece, you obviously want to make them better hockey players. You want them to play as long as they can. I memean, we do this to help them reach their dreams, reach their goals. We want them to play in the NHL. My favorite thing is to see a kid I coached on TV.
Awesome.
You laugh, and it's like, I saw this. You just think of the funny things when you were with them, and
hold on.
That's kind of the.
All right, Scott. It tends to happen when I leave the door open to the studio. This is Simba, and Simba likes to join the podcast. I think this might have been the 3rd time he's crashed it.
That's great.
And now I kind of look forward to it because it always lightens things up a little bit.
I like it.
But so he's got to scram though. See you later, buddy.
Just to finish on that answer, I think outside of the hockey piece, it's like you want to help develop the person too, right? You want them to leave better people, better kids, eventually better parents, better friends, better siblings. Like you want them to. You can see the growth in a student athlete from freshman to senior year, and sometimes it's crazy. Like there's a kid that not that you want to give up on them, but you can say like this might not be trending the right direction for you here, and that happens, right? Kids end up different places, and or maybe it's not a fit for them. But when you can stick with a kid and work with them and develop them, and then you see him graduate as a senior, that's one of the coolest things in this business. You have a kid for 4 years, he comes in as a kid and he leaves as a man, and you want to give them, you want to have as much of a piece, in their life and their development as you can. And I think the way to do that is just try and lead the right way, do the right things, be a good example. It's guys don't believe you when you say one thing and then you do the complete opposite. So that's like one thing is you want to live by your word. And I think that helps develop the kids as well. It's like when you send them mixed messages, that's when things kind of go off the rails a little bit, but
Yeah, you can't get their trust if you're doing that. I am a firm believer to your point of leading by example, right? I live that, or I try to live that every day, with the people I train, with the kids I've trained, and the way you live your life, That's cool.
I always laugh. This is you'll like this. It's like, you hear a coach tell a kid, eat grilled chicken and rice, or take care of your body for the game tomorrow, and then you go and get like a pizza or something and you're eating it in front of them, and the kid's just like,
right.
What the hell? Like, why are you telling me this? And then
you're
doing
the opposite.
So that's like a funny example, but that's just one of the things I think of, because then they're just like, or I don't know. There's a lot of them,
Oh yeah, and but at the level you're at, as you keep climbing the ladder, which I know you will, if that's what you choose to do, you start to circle yourself around people that are a little bit more elite, a little bit more have more leadership ability, and understand that you have to lead by example, right? And that's what this is all about, funneling to the top of that, trying to get to the top. Well, that was awesome. All right. So are you ready for some relatively fun rapid fire stuff?
Sure.
Little rapid fire questions. All right.
Puts the pressure on.
It does. Everything changes. Put your game face on. Favorite hockey movie?
Miracle.
Excellent movie, wasn't it?
Yeah. That just hits close to home with, going to prep school in Lake Placid and really digging into that. There's so many, but that I have to say Miracle.
I would agree with you, because when I was writing these out, I was like, well, Slapshot is...
That would be number two.
Yeah, it's outstanding too. Yeah. It's in a completely different genre. But I do want to mention this, Ryan, because you said you grew up with the St. Lawrence University hockey team and you were going to the games as a kid. I have the same experience, but with Boston University. My dad was on the committee for Friends of BU Hockey.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he had season tickets, and we'd go to all the games. So the Lake Placid team of 1980, a lot of those guys were on the team in 77 and 78. And guess who little Stewie got to watch for like 2 years? Jim Craig, Mike Ruzioni, Dave Silk, Jack O'Callahan. Ryan Durocher was one of the goalies on that team, the 78 team that won the national championship. Is he related to you in any level? No.
I've actually bumped into him in the past, and we've talked about that. There has to be something down the line. It's kind of a unique name, but as far as I know, I don't think so.
But to your point from earlier from this episode was, what a cool experience. Like, I was at the ECAC games. I've been to so many bean pots, Ryan. I mean, I was at the bean pot when they had it was the blizzard of 78. Right? It's this giant snowstorm, and they still had the bean pot. I remember driving home. But those memories stick with you. They do, right?
They really do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially those guys that you're talking about, those are like... Those guys are like
iconic
American folk heroes. Like,
yeah, and I remember screaming over the glass their names when I was a kid, and
that's so cool.
So cool, right? All right, this is a tough one. Who's more competitive? You or Katie?
Katie.
Maybe not so tough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very competitive, but she'll compete over like doing the dishes. So I think she's got me there.
Yeah, she wins. That's a hands down, buddy.
Yeah.
If you have one, most embarrassing moment behind the bench as a coach?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
If you have one.
Yeah, I do. I mean, the ones that embarrass me the most is getting hit with the puck. I mean, that happens. I can think of, even times at Robert Morris where, a guy clears the puck and it hits you and you're trying to act tough like it didn't hurt, but it hurts like hell. I mean, that's probably the one that I can think of the most. Like, guys on the bench are turning around like, are you all right? Are you all right? Like, what's going on? It's embarrassing. You get hit with the puck. You can't catch it. You can't move. It hits you. And you're just...
There you are. Your nose is twisted and you're just grinding it out.
Well, I remember one couple of years ago, I got hit in the arm and it hurt so bad. And I'm just standing there trying not to show the guys that I probably gonna have a pretty good bruise. But Yeah, I would say
man.
that. It happens more than you think. It's not fun.
Yeah, now that you mention it, you can get some pretty good damage if you get that sucker to your
I've seen
jaw
some
and
bad
teeth,
ones.
eyes.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen some really bad ones.
Because you're not watching play. Sometimes you're talking to the players. You're
It
you're
hit you in the
doing stuff
head.
back there.
Yeah, I've seen
It's a tough office
guys.
environment.
It is. It really is.
Difficult office environment. All right, what is the biggest thing Katie has taught you?
That's a really good one. I mean, I feel like, we teach each other different things every day. I think the biggest thing with her that she's really helped me with is just the confidence and belief. Nobody believes in me more than she does. And I feel like she's, kind of taught me more to believe in myself and have confidence in my coaching abilities, leadership abilities, all those things, where there's times where you have self-doubt. Everybody does, right? I mean, that's part of life.
Absolutely.
But she's actually helped me kind of minimize those experiences more so than in the past. So yeah, I would say her belief in me and just her ability to keep me confident and has taught me to, you don't need to really overthink everything. Sometimes just roll with the punches and have confidence in yourself and things will work out for you.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Do you have any game day superstitions, either from your coaching or from your playing days?
Yeah, I would say the big one with coaching, which you'll just laugh at this one, but like I always want to work out on game days. That's the biggest thing. I rarely won't try and get a workout in before we play because I think it actually helps me as a coach kind of expand some of that nervous energy, expend some of that nervous energy, right. And then I feel like it just clears my mind. I'm better on the bench, just better with kind of the tactical side of it if I work out. And I mean, it might not necessarily be true, but that's my superstition. Like if I can't get a workout in, if we have a recruit or something before a game, I don't let it bother me, but I definitely don't feel as good as if I was able to get a workout in before we play. Like we work out in the hotels, like that's our thing. So
yeah. Well, I think it's important exercise, and this is kind of a little bit of a segue into a question. How has fitness helped your coaching? I mean, mental health, because it does take away, it does help your focus. It does take away any anxiety you might be having on game day. It is part of the routine. And as you know, I've been sick and I've talked about it a little bit. I haven't been able to work out for a while. And I'll tell you, my life fell apart a little bit. And now that I'm training again the last couple of months, that routine is everything. So, fitness is such a big part of your mental health life. It really is,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like I said, it clears my mind, and my mom, ran a fitness center at St. Lawrence. My dad's extremely active and really good shape. So I grew up around that, and I think the thing with working out is once you're done playing, you still want to have that competitive kind of fire, and that's scratched the itch for me. Whether it's Orange Theory or it's with you at your gym, like anything that I can do that way is really, I think it helps me with my job. It helps me with my personal life. I mean, like I said to you the other day, I went on vacation for 8 days and I came back in the gym and I was like, I feel like I'm 100 years old. Like I just kind of lost a little of that edge. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it helps me in every way. I mean, I can't say it. It's just been part of my life for a long time. Even when I, am out of it for a little bit or feel like I need to, kind of reset and get back into it harder than I've been doing, I always feel way better once I kind of reconnect with that. So
yeah, it's important. It's been a part of my life since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And you notice the people in the environment in the fitness centers, their energy level, even the older members, their energy level's better than people their age. And as we age, we all know the importance of exercise and keeping your muscle and stuff. But I preach, the mental health aspects of it, how important it is. And especially today with the kids, there's a lot of anxiety and it's so important for them to reconnect with themselves, with their bodies too,
Yeah.
Right. What separates champions from talented teams?
I think that's a really good question, and I think if people knew the exact science behind that, they'd be selling a potion for it. Because I think there's a lot of things that go into it, but I don't know what like the exact science. I think the biggest thing, I'll speak from our experience this year, is the belief factor in guys being selfless. Right? It's when you have those talented teams where everybody wants their slice of the pie, as you like to say. They want their puck touch. They want their, they want theirs above the team. That's when you're not going to find that. I've seen a lot of talented teams that haven't been able to win because there's too much talent and there's not enough, selflessness in the room. And I think our group this year, especially as the season wore on, it was selflessness. Take a high hit, not retaliate, to put guys on the penalty kill. Doesn't matter who scores the goal as long as you win. We win 1-0, we win. You win 2-1, you win the hockey game. It doesn't matter who scores it. I think when guys can honestly live that way and they believe that, they care for each other in the room, when it's a lot of people talk about it, right? I mean, people talk about it all the time, but it's different talking about it and actually seeing it and seeing guys live it. So I would say that's the biggest thing, right? Championship teams are selfless. They've got talent, but they care about each other and they're willing to sacrifice maybe what's not the best for me might be the best for the other 28 guys. And I think when everybody can look in the mirror and do that, you can do some special things.
Absolutely. It definitely has, championship teams have a lot of intangibles, to your point. But I think selflessness is probably towards the top of the chart right there, right? You got to sacrifice to win. And great teams do that individually. They sacrifice, right? Okay. What does success mean to you today?
I think, I guess for me, it's just, success, I would say, isn't just, winning hockey games, things like that. I think it's success for me is having a healthy relationship with my wife, with, we already talked about it, but like trying to live a healthy lifestyle, enjoying going to work every day, enjoying my job. I think if you do those things, the accolades and the success kind of follow. So yeah, I mean, success for me is just, being consistent, enjoying going to the office, enjoying being with the players, doing things that way. I think that's success. That's why I'm doing this. I never got into this to lift a trophy or anything like that. It was more the relationships and just the consistency of what hockey brings in my life, right? It's pretty much can get on a pretty even keeled, I guess, scale, and if you continue to do that, you're gonna have good things happen to you in your life, personally and professionally.
Absolutely, I agree. Okay, you mentioned John Tortorella is one of your favorite coaches. Who do you think is the greatest coach? Is there such a thing as the greatest coach of all time, or who would be on your Mount Rushmore top 4? NHL coaches, college coaches, anything of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, I think Scotty Bowman, he's a guy,
yeah.
He actually comes and talks to us every summer, and he's like 95, and
Oh, man, that's awesome. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I work national camp in Buffalo every year, which is, all the best 17, 16, 15s for their respective birth years. And he always comes to talk to the coaches for all of them. And it's remarkable how bright he is, how well-spoken he is for 95, 96. Like, you would have no idea. I mean, the things he can remember from the Red Wings, like shifts, like he can remember specific shifts of like a Darren McCarty play or like a Steve Yzerman, Fedorov, like 2-on-1. Like, he is one of the sharpest people I've ever heard speak.
He was great. I mean, just awesome.
And like he gets, I mean, we have 1,000 questions for him. We actually get cut off because we have too many.
Yeah.
Like, he told us a story last year. I'll share it quick because I thought it was remarkable. He started coaching the Red Wings on line changes. Like, he like taught the guys how to change lines. Like,
when?
we do it
like
now.
Recently? You say like this
like
is
in '96. He like
Oh, okay.
when he was coaching, he taught the guys, like we do it now. Like, if a guy's back checking, and he can't get there, like, we'll change and he'll jump on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
He was teaching like Yzerman and Fedorov that in like '96. He's like,
so way before his time, basically.
way before. Like, he was like yelling at guys to sprint to the bench because it would save however many seconds of the next guy being able to like close on a puck in the D zone. He's like talking about these things at '96, like line changes and just like the little details of the game that you would. I mean, I would never be like, Scotty Bowman's talking to Sergei Fedorov about how to line change. It's like, aren't you talking to him about how to, like, the power play or face offs? He has all these crazy things that he talked to them about. And like, we talk about, the Russian guys that he brought. He was like the first coach that actually had a bunch of Russians on his team, right? Those teams that won all the cups. I think, what did he use? Fetisov and all these guys. He had, 6-7 Russians, and people back then were like, it was Canadians, right? And he's building a Red Wings team of all Russians. But anyway, way off topic. But I thought
no, but that Red Wing team in the mid to late '90s was just unbelievable. They were a gauntlet, absolute gauntlet. And to your point, attention to detail, right? Of course, that doesn't surprise me that he had that level of attention to detail. Just a student of the game. You hear those stories and just well before his time, and that's why he was so successful, right?
He was
awesome.
Yeah, he's like, he goes, we got Joel Kosar or someone on their fourth line that was playing with McCarty. It might have been like Maltby or somebody like that. It might have been Maltby, and he's telling the story last summer. He's like, all the guys are like, Scotty, why do you want Kirk Maltby on your team? Like, you have all these skilled guys. And he's like, have you seen him play? Like, he plays so hard. He's like, they had a traditional fourth line those years that they won the cup, where he just brought in these guys that were just like dogs, animals, right? And people were like, what are you doing? Like, you have Steve Yzerman on this team. Like, why don't you? And he's like taking guys off of like free, like guys get put on waivers, and the Red Wings are picking them up to play on their fourth line. Just funny things like that where you're like, he's just way ahead of it. But
yeah, he would have been my pick, I guess.
Yeah.
Just did he win? He won the cup with Montreal, in Detroit. Did he win it with the third team?
I want to say he has like 17 cups.
He's got a ridiculous amount. It's like Red Auerbach stuff from the Celtics,
Yeah.
But he was awesome. All right, Ryan. So we're going to get towards the end here. Any final thoughts? You've shared a lot of stuff today. Anything you want to say to the people out there, maybe some hockey players that might be listening, or some young kids?
Yeah, for sure. I would say, guys that are trying to climb the ladder, players, younger guys that are, want to play in college, want to play in the NHL. I think the biggest thing that you can do is continue to work, right? There's no straight path. There's no easy way to get there. You have guys that you see maybe that you've played with that have it a little bit easier, or they've, gotten a little more success or had more accolades to this point in their career. But there's a story every single year in the NHL and college hockey where, a guy got cut from didn't make junior A until he was 20 years old. There's actually a guy right now on Vegas that played in the North American League, then the USHL, aged out, and now he's the Dowd kid, who's on Vegas. So I would say, you have to persevere, right? You have to continue to have trust in your abilities, keep working to get better. And it doesn't matter what's going on around you. It doesn't matter about the noise of other players, social media, all those things. Just have to believe in yourself and persevere, and good things will happen if you do those things.
That's awesome, Ryan. I look at you and your energy level and what you're doing. I love it, dude. I really do. I love what I do because I help kids and I help other people. And it's so rewarding to help others, right? And that's exactly what you're doing. You're helping people. You're connecting with kids. You're connecting with adults. You have a community there at Merrimack and in your other schools that you worked at. You touch a lot of lives, and that's a really cool thing. That's why we're here, to help each other,
Absolutely.
I have a meme that I put up on my YouTube page. We're here to help each other, it says. And if we can't help each other, let's at least not hurt each other. It's pretty simple, So when I talk to people like you, or and there's not many like you, it's always rewarding to hear their perspective. So this has been a great interview for me, and I thank you for taking a couple hours out of your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's having these conversations is great because it's, even personally, it helps you kind of reflect on things that have happened in the past and
absolutely
kind of where you want to go and all those things. And obviously what you do.
Tell Katie we're going to try to get her on here because I could use all the professional help I can get. I'll even pay her, give her a few bucks or something.
I'm sure she'd love to jump on. We'll just have to change the background up a little bit so you don't have the same studio twice.
That's all right. We'll put a filter on her or something. I guess there's all kinds of stuff we can do. Ryan, stick around. I want to talk to you when we're done, okay?
Yep.
All right, everybody. That was a great conversation. I would say probably the best one I've had. I think this will be episode, I believe it's 13. It'll probably drop at some point this week. I want to thank Ryan again. Unbelievable guy. I'm very proud of him. What an incredible run. We'll have to do it again at some point. But so everybody joining me today, thank you. If you're listening on a stream or if you're watching on YouTube, remember to hit subscribe, like, share, comment. I'm building a community here, and I'm glad you're here, and we're just getting started. So I will see you next time on the Stuudio.
Good evening, everyone. It's the Hockey East Championship game. Merrimack takes on the University of Connecticut. Let's go, Merrimack! Now right in the slot. Huskin now a shot and a score. Huskin's shot went off the end boards. O'Connell was the one who got there. This is it. 37 years in the making. The Warriors have won.
They joined the league in 1989. This is their first league championship. Ladies and gentlemen, the Merrimack College Warriors are the Hockey East champions.
Survive and advance has been the mantra for the last month. They say, to be the best, you gotta beat the best. They beat the best. Merrimack College has won the Hockey East Championship.